Hey guys, this is Poke Pledge, the channel where we talk about what's the big movers in the Pokemon market, and we pledge to bring you those big movers on a weekly basis and sometimes on daily basis here. So what we've got to talk about today is the top five biggest movers in the Pokemon market this week, and we've got to start off at number five with Charizard EX from 151. Now, if we look at this card, if we look at the static on this card at the moment, I mean it has seen a massive dip, in the last month or so, but then what gets it onto the top five is actually this spike here we can see at the bottom. And it is a card that's going to hold its value over time, because of the value of 151, a set. Essentially, this set was always one that all of the fans of the original Pokemon TCG got back into it with this set, and this is the ultimate chase card from that set, obviously. So it's no surprise to see it bounce back a little bit in the marketplace, because it did take a big dip. As we can see, it's constantly been dipping there, but now back up a little bit again. And it did take, on the 21st of May, it did do that also. It did take a dip and then come back up and probably put it in the top five of that week also. So that's why it comes in at number five. But always a good card. If you can pull this card, it's an awesome feeling. And it's just one that's always going to be, it's always going to be a mover in the market, because people are going to take their time and try to cash out on this card at times as well. So it's going to be a mover, but it is one that will always stick heavy in the market. So we come in at number five with the Charizard EX. Moving on, we got the Gardevoir and Sylveon GX, alternate full art. So with this card, Tag Team seems to be, even, Garchomp Collectibles in his recent video even stated, people are coming up and trying to purchase Tag Team. The demand is just huge at the moment for Tag Team. And if we look at this, have you ever seen a straighter graph from bottom left to top right? In the last 3 months, and even if we look at the data from the last month on this card, it's just consistent. Up $50, and it's just astonishing, really, that the static on this card. And it's not even, we got 12 listings available on TCG Player, but it is, it is a beautiful card. And anything really with Sylveon and the EV evolutions, they really do well, and Tag Team is really hot at the moment. That's why coming in at number three with the heaviest mover this week is the Solgaleo and Lunia GX full art. Basically, if we look, let's just take a moment out to look at this card. This is a beautiful Tag Team card, and obviously, it has the to have the Tag Team logo on there, it's one that, certain collectors aren't really that into, that I've seen from, visiting different vendors in the local area. And, the vendors really say that some people don't like, the style of the Tag Team, but because it has multiple Pokemon on there, and it doesn't have it doesn't have the original Pokemon sort of vibe of what, the original cards. It doesn't really look like an original Pokemon card. It is its own style, but they are really pumping at the moment. If we look at the last 3 months for this card, it's up, $50 as well in the last 3 months. Look at the last month or so, you know what I mean? It's just another almost almost straight line mover here. So it's just such a beautiful card, and always one that's gonna, have a lot of static, because it's Tag Team, and because of, if you look at the angle of this here, to be coming from below the characters, it's such a great image. And to get the moon in there, it is one that even, I'm not big on Tag Team, but it's one that I might add to my collection in the future, And then again, the same theme, really, when we come in at number two with the biggest mover this week, we're looking at the Celebi and Tyranitar GX Unified Minds, another Tag Team card that is a heavy mover in the market. I mean, if we look at the last 3 months, we're looking at $30 almost. Yeah, up until July 16th. So, I mean, it's just another heavy mover. And these vendors, when it comes to the Tag Team cards, there's a lot of Tag Team cards going in and out of vending of the vendors, and in and out of the card shops at the moment. And, they're even finding it hard to keep up with the price movement of these cards, because there's just so much static and so much movement on them. Tag Team is in. People are trying to make Tag Team binders. People want to fill their Tag Team binders. People love the style. People love to get 2 for 1. I mean, even if we look at the Charizard and Magmar Tag Team, that is another one that is just such a beautiful card. It's one that I was looking at investing in recently, and when we look at the card, it's just so beautiful, uh, and that's the beauty of tag team, and that will always be the appeal of tag team. So, and when we get into number one, it's Pikachu with the gray felt hat. Is the heaviest mover this week, and it is obviously one, that's always been on the radar. It had a huge dump from 342, and I mean it even went all the way down to 314 at one point. That was getting sales at 314, 315. But it's just one of those cards, just like the Charizard from 151. It just recovers. It's one that's always going to recover, and in this case, it's recovered, and it's even eclipsed that last sale from it within the last 3 months. Its previous best of 342, it eclipsed it. So it's getting back up to those prices, and it is one because it's obviously Pikachu, and it's one that when it's these portrait cards promos, for a promo, it's just doing so well. And to see that it's another Pikachu promo, and it's just such a desirable card at the moment for people's collections. And I mean, when we look at the two raw cards here that are just the raw cards and not actual tag team, there's just a singular Pokemon, Charizard, who's obviously Charizard and Pikachu, that usually the generally the two most popular cards in Pokemon TCG, the most popular Pokemon. I have to say that Charizard is my favorite, and I do have a Charizard collection myself, and Pikachu collection is something I thought about in the past. So there's something that's always going to be appealing about about Pikachu and Charizard. So it's no surprise to see as the biggest movers. In at number 5 is Charizard, and in at number 1 is Pikachu. So that's really where we're at for this week. What we'll do is we'll see in my next video for next week, just to see, is this trend going to continue with tag team, and are Pikachu and Charizard going to be moving forward? Are they going to continue to be the single Pokemon cards that aren't tag team that are the heaviest movers?